Good day, everyone. I am Christine, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone to today's webinar, that is OSHA 300 Logs Reporting and Record-Keeping Requirements for 2025. I want to introduce our presenter for today, Matthew Purr. Matthew Purr has over 16 years of experience working in the human resource field. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Matthew.
Yeah, again, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. I guess if you're on the West Coast, happy to be here to present on this topic. I think it's absolutely timely because February 1st is coming pretty quickly. It kind of serves a purpose with 2025 300, right? But it's just some additional information to think about from a compliance standpoint, from a workplace action, injury prevention standpoint as well. One of the things more than likely we're going to see with the new administration, I would say, again, Republican, conservative, pro-business, right, is you could see some of these regulations peeled back. In fact, more than likely you're going to see that at this point. And it doesn't just serve true for OSHA. Obviously, President Trump has come in and signed a number of executive orders. National Labor Relations Board, same thing. As an HR person, I kind of keep an eye, professional, I keep an eye on that quite closely. But, we're going to see a number of, I think, regulations peeled back at this point. So this is kind of the agenda we're going to navigate through today. Quick overview of OSHA, talk a little bit about state regulations, retention, some of those things, common mistakes, legal issues, the January 1, 2024 change that happened and what that looks like. Talk about the NASIX code quite a bit as well. Then we kind of work through each of the three sheets that potentially could be due, but the 300A is the one that does hang in your organization at this point. What size establishments, preparing, right, all that stuff. We still are mandated by law until July 31st, 2025 to have COVID paid sick leave, right? It's still a legal requirement to provide COVID paid sick leave to employees as an employer. So again, from an OSHA mission statement standpoint, pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go into this in great detail. Safety and health standards and enforcing through worksite inspections. I mean, obviously providing training. So those are the things just to keep in mind at this point. Dangers, right? We know that gives important rights to employers and employees at that point. So our responsibilities, I mean, pretty straightforward. We know this, recognize we want to provide a workplace free from recognized hazards, training, employer rights, right? Just some things to kind of be aware of from an employer standpoint. Again, safety and health, safe and healthful workplace. Recognize, know about hazards, report an injury to employers. We know we do have to accept those at this point. The former administration is kind of expanding who has a right to view that information, that internal document. And then again, you've got other postings at this point, like I talked about the 300A, but there's a state OSHA poster, potentially workers' comp postings as well. And then the other thing, if you're using an HRIS system or a payroll system, a lot of times if things are tracked, electronically, OSHA will publish some of the data collected on its website. Again, it allows employees, employers, potential employees, union reps potentially as well, current potential customers, researchers, to learn more about the company's workplace safety and health records. So they're going to put that out there at this point, or have put that out there. Based on industry, then based on organization. And then just some things to also consider, really doesn't change some of the other requirements. The final rule retains the current requirements for electronic submission of information. So this is what they define, and it's not an all-inclusive list. This is just an example of this. New OSHA electronic submission, you can see that at this point. Pretty straightforward. We've kind of, talked about really the first two bullets. Under the new rule, each worksite must provide the legal name of the company when submitting. All right, so which establishments have to submit? We've kind of talked about this, 100 or more employees in previous calendar year. And you've got some links there as well. Appendix B, Subpart E, talk about the industries, kind of defining the industries. Just some things where they're not going to collect. Obviously, they're going to try to scrub the data. And I think, again, from a compliance standpoint, protected health information, OSHA or HIPAA. So some other things to think about here at this point. Is it recordable? Is it reportable? And then how does OSHA define first aid? You can see this here. I mean, again, using non-prescription medication like an aspirin or Tylenol, whatever it might be at that point. So again, jumping back into the 300A, I just wanted to go over the differences there to give you an idea of what you might be looking at as reportable versus a first aid. So this is what I was referring to, exempt industries. We talked about this at this point, the 300A. Summary must be physically posted in a place where employees are used to finding notices. March 2nd, 250 or more employees, we know that. And again, this is everything we've kind of already talked about. So again, I mean, and this is just additional information on that, additional information on fact sheets as well. Kind of, again, more information on the exempt industries. We've already talked about the electronic record keeping at this point. Not all establishments are required. A couple other links here as part of that process. So these are just a couple examples. An injury or illness has occurred, and again, this is the answer that OSHA gave. So the answer is yes. Employer has determined that the case is work-related, right? We know that. I put a few more in for 2024 just to give you an idea of kind of what it looks like. Determine if a little bit more additional information out there. CDC, pretty straightforward. Again, OSHA is out there as well, the publication. File a complaint with OSHA. I mean, pretty straightforward on that one as well. They do have their right, employees do have their right to participate in an OSHA inspection. We know they're free from retaliation. We've already talked about the employer responsibilities at this point. There is a website that talks about the frequently cited OSHA standards as well. Talked a little bit about inspections. I'm just going to kind of go through this one at this point. The citations have gone up. There was a publication on that one. Certain states and territories do have their own OSHA plans, but you can see here what that looks like. One of the things here, and these are some links to different websites for state requirements, the state OSHA, and then again, other states have specific government, public sector requirements as well. Retention periods, another one, and we've talked about that one a little bit at this point, and there's a link to that as well. Common mistakes, I think we hit on this a little bit at this point. We've talked about the record keeping at this point already. I mean, again, pretty straightforward. I'm going to just kind of skip through this one as well. But again, hazards, obviously OSHA, if they come in, they're looking for, they could be being called in, whatever it might be. But a couple more resources there to take a look at too. The information in place, but kind of what I've emphasized. With that, I'll answer any questions. Thank you. No, again, appreciate everyone attending today. Definitely, I think the more proactive you are in getting that stuff, aligned up and ready to have posted or submit to the government, the better off we are, as an organization. That's really all I had at this point. Have a nice afternoon and a nice weekend as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. That concludes the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. Have a great day.